Hi, it's Mark from Top Local. We're here with Bernie Pawlik, Pawlik Automotive in Vancouver, and we're talking cars. How are you doing this morning, Bernie?
Doing very well.
So one question that we've encountered quite a bit is basically people buying diesels when it's the wrong vehicle for the use case. So when does it make sense to have a diesel?
Well, I think there's a couple of criteria that it makes sense to have a diesel, and I'm thinking about some of those wrong things. I've had a number of people in the past who've bought I'm just going to say Ford, not picking on Ford, but they've bought some Ford diesels that have been less than reliable, and after spending thousands of dollars month after month to fix one thing after another, the thrill and the concept and the idea of having I'm gonna say a macho diesel just like wears off really fast, and I see them coming back with a Ford F-150 gas powered, something a lot more sensible in what they need. We've also had a number of clients who own European vehicles, Mercedes in particular, where the engines get carboned up or stuff happens, very expensive repairs, and really a diesel wasn't the right vehicle for them. So when does it make sense? It makes sense to me for a couple of reasons. If you're going to buy a truck, it makes sense to buy diesel if you're hauling heavy loads frequently. That's either in the truck or trailering them. If you're buying a car, it makes sense if you're driving long distances, but not short little start and stop distances. So those are really the main criteria to me of when it makes sense.
So why is that?
Well, diesels need to warm up. They need to run hot, and they take a while to warm up. Even with modern technology, and they try to warm it up faster. A diesel takes a long time to warm up. Generally, the mass of a diesel engine, like the actual engine block, is much more robust than it is on a gasoline engine, because the compression in a diesel is very high. The engine has to, it's a compression ignition engine. So it has to compress the fuel, which will then explode at a certain temperature, certain pressure and temperature. But that requires a much more robust built engine. So they're heavier, they're bigger, and so they require a lot more energy to warm up. And when they're not warmed up, there's a lot with modern emission controls on vehicles, which are required, and they make a big difference in terms of the air that we breathe and the quality of the diesel engine. It doesn't sound like you can hear it from 10 blocks away. And it's much more pleasant to drive because you actually really can't hear the engine rattling away. With all those items in place, that actually sends a lot of soot and particles back through the engine. They recirculate, and things tend to plug up. Unless the engine is really hot, then it tends to work really well. Also, a lot of modern emission equipment like particulate filters require the engine to reach a certain temperature, and highway driving is good for them because that tends to burn off the particles.
So the filters actually heat up and disperse the particles, burn them, reburn them again, so that they're coming out of this tailpipe more clean.
Exactly. It's not. They call it a filter. It's not really a filter. It's more like a storage. It's like a storage trap, and then things are burnt off at a later time.
One of the things that people do, I know for a fact, is take off all the emission equipment. Does that solve the problem?
Well, it certainly solves the problem, a lot of problems, in terms of carbon buildup and things plugging. It solves it for you personally, but it doesn't really solve it for the general public. I mean, diesel soot is known carcinogen. I mean, it's very bad. It gets, they're very tiny little particles. They get in the lungs. A lot of people die from it. They don't drop dead. It's not like being shot by a gun. You're not going to die instantly. It's a slow process, but it's a big thing, and as annoying as a lot of these things are, and I can see why people remove them, because the solution, of not having it makes a big difference. I mean, there's a lot of diesel trucks that used to get, fantastic fuel economy. They put the emission equipment on, the fuel economy drops by 30 or 40%. You remove it, you're back way up to having an economical vehicle. But really, what makes our air in our cities good to breathe is all this emission equipment. Even on gasoline engines. I mean, I always think back whenever I see an old car drive by, and I can smell the stench of the exhaust. You go, man, I can't believe when I grew up that all cars were like that. We've done a fantastic job in terms of making them, gasoline powered cars really, really clean. Still lots of CO2, but that doesn't smell and stink, and cause at least the ground level pollution that we're used to. So So, it does make a big difference to say, I mean, things can be removed, but it's better not to. And so my whole idea with this, this podcast is consider before you buy a diesel, do you really need one? Because they do cost an awful lot more money to fix too. And that is, I often think, all the money you save on fuel, you're just going to end up spending in ours or someone else's repair shop fixing things. So it's an important thing to look at and consider. Is this the right vehicle for you? Because for some people, a diesel absolutely makes a lot of sense.
I guess there's a couple other issues there. Diesel particulate, in terms of its detriment to human health, is measured in parts per billion, which is incredibly small. Something over 20 parts per billion. Anything over that is detrimental to human health. And there's tons of research on this now. There's literally diesel engines, soot is accounting for millions of deaths worldwide every year. This is not speculation. This is fact, and they can show it when cities like London, for instance, ban diesels from the downtown area. The air quality goes up pretty drastically. But it's also illegal, isn't it? To take that stuff off?
It is. Yeah. It is illegal to do it. Whether you're going to have a cop knocking on your door, probably not. It's lots of people do it. And I don't know. I mean, we live in Vancouver, Canada, so they're not so many stringent standards. I don't know. I know California, you actually have to have your vehicle emission tested. Around here, you don't. We used to have it. We got rid of it. The air still seems pretty clean, but you can be a lot looser with your standards around here now. And honestly, it doesn't really matter if you live out in some small town or in the middle of nowhere, and your diesel puts out some particulate. Not really. It's just, but every thing where you get more concentrated and lots more trucks and people around, it makes a huge difference really fast.
So there you go. If you're going to buy a diesel, what's your use case? Are you hauling a lot of heavy loads? Are you traveling long distances? 100 kilometers, 150 kilometers kind of round trip every day? Then maybe a diesel makes sense. Other than that, driving around town in your big 4x4 and not ever using it to haul stuff, probably not the best use case. It's costing you a lot of money. Is that a fair assessment?
Absolutely. One thing we actually didn't delve into too much there was car. I mean, we did just touch on it briefly, but I think a lot of salespeople do a disservice to their customers by selling them a diesel vehicle when they're really, again, they should be asking, how much driving do you do with this vehicle? And and this is something you got to ask yourself if you're going to buy a diesel car or SUV. Like I'm thinking like a Mercedes type of thing. There's a lot of ML 320s and 350 diesels around. There's just a lot of them in our area, and so many people don't buy them for what they need them for. They really should be buying the gasoline version. And I think the salespeople really do a disservice by not asking, what's your usage? They just, oh yeah, we got this diesel. It's got great fuel economy, and people just buy it. And then a few years later, the engine's toast, or things are plugged up, and they're spending thousands of dollars to fix things they wouldn't have had to. So just something to look at.
It's not an around town vehicle unless you're hauling stuff.
Exactly.
Go electric. Anyways.
Yeah. That's becoming an option. If you just need short commutes, electric might be a
far better option.
Way to go. Yeah.
So there you go. Pawlik Automotive. If you want honest truth about your vehicle and what kind of vehicle to buy, maybe give Bernie a call. 604-327-7112. He's looking dismayed. I've just offered free advice, but he will. They're friendly. They'll help you out. Quick conversation will ease your mind about buying the right car. Pawlik Automotive, you can reach them again at 604-327-7112. Again, that's for booking appointments. They're busy. You got to call and book ahead. They're 21-time winners of Best Auto Repair in Vancouver. And Pawlik Auto Repair PawlikAutomotive.com is the website. Check out lots of articles and videos on there about all makes and models of vehicles and repairs of them all. And of course, thanks so much for watching and listening. We appreciate it. Click the subscribe button on your favorite podcast app. We appreciate it. And thanks, Bernie.
Thanks, Mark. And thanks for watching. We really appreciate it.